Who made it? The Apollo 8 space mission in December 1968 marked the first time that man had flown to the moon. While orbiting the moon, the crew made the famous Christmas Eve broadcast, a live television and radio event heard by an estimated 1 billion people. While on the air, the astronauts read part of the account of the creation from Genesis chapter 1. Each of the three astronauts took turns, starting with Major William Anders reading, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." After Captain James Lovell took his turn, Colonel Frank Borman ended with, "And God saw that it was good." These three were the first men ever to see some of the wonders of the universe. And before a worldwide audience, they gave credit to the one who made it all. He was the one who put the planets into their precise orbital motions, without which the calculations guiding the flight from the Earth to the moon and back would have been impossible. In fact, Jim Lovell said of the flight to the moon, we never really saw the moon. By and large, the body that we were rendezvousing with that was coming from one direction as we were going to another. We never saw, and we took it on faith that the moon would be there. During the trip back to Earth, Bill Anders was asked who was flying the spacecraft. He said, "I think that Isaac Newton is doing most of the driving now." Newton was the first to describe the laws of motion and gravity affecting objects in space. The story is often told of how Newton had a skilled craftsman build him a scale model of our solar system, which was then displayed on a large table in Newton's home. Not only did the excellent workmanship simulate the various sizes of the planets and their relative proximities, but it was also a working model in which everything precisely rotated and orbited when a crank was turned. One day, while Newton was in his study, a friend came by who was a great scientist, but who was also an atheist. Examining the model with enthusiastic admiration, he exclaimed, "My, what an exquisite thing this is! Who made it?" Without looking up from his book, Sir Isaac answered, "Nobody." Stopping his inspection, the visitor turned and said, "Evidently you misunderstood my question. I asked you who made this." Newton, no doubt enjoying the chance to teach his friend a lesson, replied in a serious tone, "Nobody. What you see here just happened to assume the form it has now." "You must think I'm a fool," retorted the visitor. "Of course somebody made it, and he's a genius. I want to know who he is." Laying his book aside, Newton arose and laid a hand on his friend's shoulder, saying, "This thing is but a punny imitation of a much grander system, whose laws you know. I am not able to convince you that this mere toy is without a designer and maker. Yet you, as an atheist, profess to believe that the great original form from which the design is taken has come into being without either designer or maker." The atheist was no longer an atheist when he left that day. God has not only created the sun, moon, and stars, He has created you with a never-dying spirit and soul. The day is coming when our lives on earth will be over, and every one of us will give an account of himself to God. Romans 14:12. Are you ready to meet your Creator? You will be if you come to Him as a lost sinner, believing that Jesus Christ loved me and gave Himself for me. Galatians 2:20. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. John 3:16. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved. Acts 16:31. All things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. John 1:3. By Him were all things created that are in heaven and that are on earth. Colossians 1:16.